In business, it's really important to be able to get your opinions across in a face-to-face interaction when you're talking to somebody. So business pitches are used in sales situation when you're trying to sell a product or service, or an idea to persuade others to get on board. Or if you're trying to educate people, or you're trying to inform people of certain activities that have actually happened. So if you have been on a business mission and you found out certain market insights and you want to share these insights with your colleagues or peers, and you are able to then communicate this process as well. As with report writing, a business pitch has a standard structure that most people would expect you to follow. You would have an introduction to what it is you're trying to say, the main body, and then the conclusions and the actions that you propose people to take as a result of your pitch. An introduction is the most important part for your presentation. If you can get people on board, if you can get them interested, and you are able then to carry on the attention span, and obviously they are able to be with you. So in the introduction, you also, as you have in your report, you need to make sure you introduce the problem area that you're focusing on. What is it that you are trying to solve? What is it that you are trying to improve? And what is it that is potentially going to be better? As with a business report, think about being succinct, being focused, and making sure that you're not providing too much background information that makes people bored. A great way to start an introduction section is to provide some visual stimuli, for example, a customer complaint or a certain problem that occurred, or provision of a certain innovation that you have, some certain statistics that you might have discovered that are really bad or really good. And this could be a really good prompt, as well as asking people questions, getting them involved, and potentially giving a one-to-one sort of answer or show of hand or some kind of interaction, so that this makes sure that people do listen to what you're trying to say. Obviously, not all situations lend themselves for those kind of things, but there are a number of techniques to engage the audience and make sure that they are listening to you. Some speakers prefer to walk, and walking actually improves the visual of you being on the stage, or if you are standing in front of a projector as well. Next part is the body. Make sure that you are using visual aids. Do make sure that you are not including too many words on your slides if you're using the visual aids. And if you have a video or anything else that you're doing that relies on technology, make sure that actually works. Because the worst thing that you can do with a video that you relies on sound, and your sound speaker doesn't work, and obviously that experience really misses a big impact on the audience that you're focusing on. The last bit is your conclusions. And again, as we've got with the conclusions in your report, you should try and make sure that you summarize the key points of your business page, of the problem that you're tackling, the solutions that you've considered, and the one recommendation that you feel that should be taken on board. Obviously, usually the conclusions are followed by questions where there is more interactions that could take place as well. So some of the key questions or some key tricks on getting your presentation right. First of all, if it is more than one of you presenting, make sure that you have practiced and you have figured out who presents after whom and who says what, so that you haven't got the repetition going on. Make sure you stay on time, because most of these are timed, and if you are presenting to the board, they are quite busy executives, they are not necessarily giving you a lot of time, so do make sure that you are keeping the time for questions, because if you don't have the opportunity to interact with them afterwards, that could also be quite challenging as well. Practice. Make sure you've checked out the facilities that you will be presented with. If you're going to a different location, make sure that you have the right audio-visual if you're using some of those. If you don't use visual aids, you might want to bring some prompts. If you got some artifacts, practical things, if you're selling a product, why not bring the product with you and show it to the customers if you can. When it comes to presentation, make sure that you capture people's attention in the introduction section, provide them with the right evidence, and ultimately prompt them for action at the end of your presentation.